Cue the music. Cue the music. The top 9 most inconvenient verses in the Bible. In this video, I'm going to give you my top 9 verses that are highly inconvenient for Christians. 9 verses that Christians wish were never part of the Bible. Why 9? Well, aren't we all tired of top 10 lists?
Strike 3, you're out!
Where was I? Oh yeah. Christians may love John 3:16, where God loved us so much that he loaned himself out in the disguise of a human for a few hours of physical pain, or Ephesians 2:8 and 9, where you don't have to actually do good things in order to get into heaven. But now we're going to have a look at some mighty embarrassing and highly inconvenient verses that you rarely hear being expounded upon from the pulpit these days. Number 9. Matthew 5:22. Jesus forbids calling anyone a fool. And anyone who says, "You fool," will be in danger of the fire of hell. Pfft, how inconvenient is this one? You mean Christians aren't allowed to call those foolish atheists fools? Bummer. Number 8. Luke 24:25. Jesus calls 2 people fools to their faces. Then he said unto them, "O fools, and slow of heart to believe all that the prophets have spoken." My. We just saw Jesus commanding people not to call other people fools. I guess this is a case of do as I say, not as I do. But this isn't the only time Jesus insults someone calling them a fool. He verbally assaults the Pharisees by calling them fools, hypocrites, whitewashed tombs, and snakes. Luke 11:40. Foolish ones, did not he who made the outside make the inside also? Most inconvenient, since we just saw Jesus teach that anyone who calls someone a fool is in danger of hellfire. Doesn't this make Jesus a hypocrite who is in danger of going to hell? I forgot. Jesus is exempt from his own moral standards. He apparently doesn't need to set the example for the rest of us to follow. Number 7. Matthew 5:44. Love your enemies. But I say to you, love your enemies, bless those who curse you, do good to those who hate you, and pray for those who spitefully use you and persecute you. It hurts. Matthew 5:44, inconveniencing Christians for over 1900 years. This one hurts so much because at best, Christians usually love their enemies about as far as they can throw them. This command is repeated several times in the New Testament, but I suppose the need to burn a witch or bomb an abortion clinic outweighs the need to obey Jesus' commands. And if you plan on posting a hateful comment, Number 6. John 2:15. Jesus has a temper tantrum and attacks people in the Jewish temple. When he had made a whip of cords, he drove them all out of the temple, with the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money and overturned their tables. Wait, didn't we just hear Jesus commanding people to love their enemies? Yet we see Jesus violently attacking people in a public place with a homemade whip. Must be another case of do as I say, not as I do, right? Or maybe this is that tough love we keep hearing about. Number 5. 1 John 3:9. True Christians cannot sin. Whoever has been born of God does not sin, for his seed remains in him, and he cannot sin because he has been born of God. Say what? This deserves a second look. Whoever has been born of God does not sin, for his seed remains in him, and he cannot sin because he has been born of God. I just want to know one thing. What was this guy smoking? This contradicts tons of verses all over the New Testament, including one inside 1 John claiming that Christians who do sin have Jesus as their advocate. But am I just jerking this verse out of its context and twisting the real meaning? If I am, I must also be jerking this one out of its context too. 1 John 3:6. Whoever abides in him does not sin. Whoever sins has neither seen him nor known him. In 2 different verses of 1 John, the author claims that true Christians cannot and do not sin. I would just like to ask any Christians watching this, how's that been working for you? Number 4. Matthew 15:24. Jesus only came to save the Jews, not Gentiles. He answered, I was sent only to the lost sheep of Israel. Did I just hear Jesus say what I think he said? That's taking the whole chosen people thing to a new low. And in case you're thinking this can't be what Jesus means, he reiterates this again when he sends his disciples out to convert the inhabitants of Israel to Christianity. Matthew 10, 5 through 6. These 12 Jesus sent out with the following instructions. Do not go among the Gentiles or enter any town of the Samaritans. Go rather to the lost sheep of Israel. Jesus explicitly tells his disciples to avoid preaching to anyone who was outside of Israel. My, this is highly inconvenient. Not only does that contradict Paul's letters as well as the Acts of the Apostles, but it also means that unless you were born in Israel, you're going to be spending a very long time down under, mate. And I don't mean Australia. Number 3, Matthew 21:22. God will give you anything you ask for as long as you believe that you'll receive it. If you believe, you will receive whatever you ask for in prayer. Of all the empty promises I've ever heard, well, besides the one I'm going to look at next, this one takes the cake. Of course Christians don't get what they ask for, unless they ask for such intangibles as strength and faith and patience and so on. As long as they pray for something that could happen on its own anyway, they're safe. But don't dare pray for your cousin Benny's amputated leg to be regenerated. And don't dare pray for world peace or that children won't get cancer anymore or even that Jesus returns tomorrow, because that would all be testing God, wouldn't it? Even though Jesus gives only one qualification to the successful petitioning of God, and that is that you believe you'll get what you ask for. Actually, if Christians did try this, it would either prove Jesus to be a liar or misinformed, or prove that you really don't believe. And that's scary territory. So let's just reinterpret this to mean you'll get what you ask for as long as it isn't a miracle, even though Jesus made this promise right after cursing the fig tree. And let's not even bring up the self-deception of thinking that maybe God will grant my prayer one day. But you know, deep down, that day will never come. Number 2, John 14:12. Christians will do greater miracles than Jesus did. Very truly, I tell you, whoever believes in me will do the works I have been doing, and they will do even greater things than these, because I am going to the Father. I'm sorry. I can think of at least 3 explanations for the complete lack of miracles Christians have been doing for the last 1900 years or so. 1, there are absolutely 0 true Christians. Or explanation number 2, Jesus was gravely mistaken in his claim. Or explanation number 3, and this is my take, the Gospels are mere fiction, and Christianity is just a man-made myth. Either way, I'd like to ask those Christians who are watching, who have you raised from the dead lately? And now. Hey, can I get a drum roll or something? Thanks. Number 1! The number 1 most inconvenient verse in the entire Bible. Okay, I'm going to make this a 2-verser so I don't get accused of yanking it out of context. Matthew 5:17 and 18. The Mosaic Law is still in effect until the world is destroyed. Think not that I have come to abolish the law and the prophets. I have not come to abolish them, but to fulfill them. For truly I say to you, till heaven and earth pass away, not one iota, not a dot, will pass from the law until all is accomplished. Ouch! That hurts worse than getting kicked in the family jewels by a talking donkey. This has to be the most inconvenient verse in the entire Bible, because it means that every last Mosaic law that pertained to the average Jew also pertains to every modern-day Christian. Yes, those pesky rules about eating unclean animals like pigs and shrimp. No more BLTs or shrimp barbecues for you, Mr. and Mrs. Christian. Oh, and gays? You know what must be done to those abominations, right? Death! And better stock up on your livestock, because you'll need plenty of animals to slaughter when you've committed those inevitable sins that are just around every corner. Oh, wait, 1 John said that true Christians cannot sin. Phew, that's a relief. But that doesn't mean you don't have to keep those other 600-something rules, such as killing your children when they become unruly. So it appears that Matthew 5:17 and 18 take the cake as the most inconvenient passage in all the Bible. So be sure to keep all of Jesus' commands, boys and girls. Don't call people fools. Love those that hate you and give some of your possessions to them. Ask God for anything you want in prayer and He'll give it to you. Have fun doing miracles greater than Jesus did, and always make sure to avoid bacon. Don't eat shrimp, and keep all of those other great Mosaic laws, such as stoning your child when they talk back or hit you. Okay? That is, only if you're an Israelite. Otherwise, just ignore all this, because Jesus didn't die for you. Until next time.